All right, here we go. Okay, start this thing over here. I just almost forgot to turn on my record of the video. That would be really good for a talk show host who doesn't click record. And we've had conversations about how I am technically challenged at times and how my technology can be challenged at times. But, anyways, that all being said, welcome to this week's show without the radio started. Starting a video here. Today's guest is going to be a special guest, real special guest, actually. My youngest brother, Bill William Matt, who is the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University, is going to be my guest. Been wanting to get Bill on and talk about what we can do with Meadow Brook Hall. We'll bring him in here in a second. We'll get this thing going here, but I just want to do that quick intro, like we have been doing always with our video now. And so stick around if you're looking for a venue or you're looking for some information on Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University. This is going to be the high altitude first of many that I'm going to have Bill come in, and we're going to do some marketing, and we're going to help promote good things in our great state of Michigan and in the Midwest, because these resources that we have here, they're very plentiful, but if you don't know about them, how do you figure it out, right? So anyways, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Good, man. I'm good. We're going to start the recording here in a second. In the fifth segment, Bill, we'll need your contact info, email, if you want to do all that. You know, you got all that stuff memorized, I'm sure. I forgot to mention that in our pre-show, but that's about the only time that I haven't told you that kind of what we're going to be doing. Remember, the first segment is our "This Is Your Life." Second is going to be going through your notes.
So, I would not go by the notes too much because they're really actually they don't really tell the story. And that's what I'm going to probably do is really focus on telling the story. I mean,
Meadowbrook.
yeah,
Yeah, that's where I was going to go for sure. I mean, I saw that. I kind of read around through that. I love the historical perspective of this, and
yeah.
we'll
Touch on some of the things we're doing, and our typical
yep,
day-to-day stuff. But
yep,
but
yep.
the history is the kind of the really interesting part.
I agree. And again, for high altitude, and for the viewers out there who are watching the pre-show here, the high altitude with a first-time guest is always the way I like to do things, because then it sets us up for the future, and then you can make it searchable and you can go, follow it sort of in a logical sequence. So, yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to go, Bill. And it's going to be, I'm telling you guys, viewers out there, you're going to want to listen to this thing because it's going to be great. And these facilities are so valuable to society and to our culture that to not know about them is really a shame. So we're gonna promote it, and we're gonna do some good stuff. So looking forward to this. Here we go. You ready, Bill?
Yes, I am.
All right, excellent. And away we go. Last week, season 13 kickoff. What a riot. Dr. Deborah Heiser, 40th visit to the show. 40 times she's been on this radio program.
Wow.
I'm getting old. That's okay though. I like it. You know what? It's better than the alternative. So yeah, season 13 kickoff. We touched on all kinds of different show titles that I had thrown at her, the 40 plus, and we chose some of the top one. It was hilarious. It was fun. It was great. And mental health advocacy is my thing. So that's what we do here. Today, as I was just saying in our pre-show on our video, which is on YouTube and all over the place, my brother, this is not a brother from another mother. This is my brother from my mother. I mean, it's my real brother. I know I say brother from another mother with a lot of my buddies out there, and it's like sisters from another mister and all that kind of stuff. This one is legit. I mean, DNA, we got it going on. My brother Bill, William, Paul, Matt, we call him Bill. He's a king. He's awesome. Guy's smart as heck. My youngest brother, he is the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. And we're going to talk exclusively about Meadow Brook Hall. We're going to start promoting Meadow Brook Hall over the next several years. We're going to start doing some more stuff with Bill. Took him a little while to kind of get himself acclimated, and COVID kind of threw everybody curve balls. I can do a quick bio here, but I'm not gonna. I'm just going to let Bill tell his own story, because Bill's got a very, very long historical perspective and his experience and his educational background. And I won't do it just, but his bio is extremely, it's very robust. Makes me very proud. So
Thanks, brother.
without further ado, I'm just going to turn Bill loose, let him do This Is Your Life, talk about his historical perspective himself a little bit, let him tell the story, because he has been, you know what, a guy who's been in the retirement zone a couple of times, changing things, moving around, not afraid to take on a challenge. That's Brother Bill. I want to welcome to the radio program.
Thanks very much, Tom.
My pleasure, brother. How are you?
I'm good. It's funny, anytime somebody sees us, sees you, then me, or me, then you, it's obvious that we're brothers. And they always go back to the voice. They say that I sound so much like you. I can't really pick it up because, I'm hearing from my own voice from inside my head. But so everybody tells me we sound a lot alike. And I'm sure
I've heard that too. And I'm the same. But it's funny how we both have the same feelings. Like, well, yeah, great. I've heard people really like the voice, so I take that as a major compliment. So, okay, I'll let you borrow my voice, bro.
I have borrowed it too. I'm stealing all your good stuff. You know that.
That's good, man. That's what big brothers are for. So, okay, best athlete in our family, Brother Bill, for sure. Well, maybe next to Karen. And we all like to think that we were all good athletes, but this kid, when he was a kid, the kid had more natural talent than freaking Gail Sayers. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Anyways, Bill, we want to do the This Is Your Life thing, talk about Meadow Brook Hall. I'm really excited to have you on, and I appreciate you giving up the time. I know you're busy as heck with your gig at Oakland University. Let's start it off. Okay, talk about the fam first, and then jump into your personal career, or however you want to do it. If you want to do your personal career first and fam, this is your time to shine. You got a good 8 minutes. Go right ahead.
Thanks. I'll just start with a brief bio. I was a lifelong resident of Michigan. I was born in Bay City, moved to Lansing when I was about 2, I believe. I don't really remember too much, but with the family as the youngest, as Tom had mentioned, with our nuclear family at the time. Grew up in Lansing with Lansing Public Schools. Graduated from J.W. Sexton High School, whereas my older siblings went to crosstown rival Everett Vikings. No animosity there, but
Done.
Healthy competition.
Yes.
Go Big Reds.
Go Vikings.
I took some coursework at LCC, as a lot of people in Lansing do. It's a wonderful institution and a great resource for anybody in the Lansing or mid-Michigan area, of course.
Community college, by that acronym for people that are outside this area and don't know what the heck we're talking about.
Lansing Community College, yep. And I started working kind of full-time initially at Meyer, and I was in the security department. I became the loss prevention manager, which is the guy who goes around, arresting shoplifters and picking up people who are taking things from the store, which is a lot of fun, but also it's kind of a young person's job. And from there, I became an operations.
We could do a whole episode on that. I kind of forgot about that whole period of your life, but I bet you we could revisit that and just have a riot. Huh?
Yeah, the stories from that job are a lot of fun.
But today the story is focusing on Meadow Brook Hall of Oakland University, a wonderful, wonderful institution. And my brother Bill, who's executive director, perfect guy to talk about all of this stuff, and Oakland University. Go ahead, brother. Continue on, please.
So I worked in operations and the retail setting. Then I went to work for LEPFA, the Lansing Entertainment Public Facilities Authority. Became the operations manager there. Of course, we do the convention business. We also managed events at Lugna Stadium. We managed the Lansing City Market. Along with Common Ground Music Festival. So there's a number of different things in the entertainment kind of aspect. Working at the Lansing Center and for LEPFA. 2001, I went to work for MSU. And one of the reasons I went back to MSU, as you know, but the audience may not, was to continue my education. As I was reaching a point in my career where I was hitting the ceiling. And I was seeing people maybe less motivated, less capable than I was being promoted above me or ahead of me because they had a college degree. And so that was the handwriting on the wall for me that I really needed to get serious about my career and get back to school.
Let me pause you for a sec, Bill. I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm a huge advocate for non-traditionals. As you know, everybody knows that I'm just in the same boat and our whole family is kind of that same way. But how old were you when you started to make that transition into non-traditional hood of your higher education?
So I was 35-ish when I went to work in 2001-ish, about working for MSU. Took a year, to get eligible to start taking classes. It took me 10 years to finish my bachelor's. So I was low 40s when I got my bachelor's, and then I moved right into the master's program, as you know, which took about 3 more years. And so I think I got my master's at the ripe age of about 45.
There you go. And that's an
Never-
awesome
never
story.
too
I'm thrilled for you. You know, I was always thrilled for you, and it's just you know, it's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yep, yep. So when I went to work for MSU in 2001, I started at the MSU Museum, and I was doing special events, chocolate party, dinosaur dash. I was also managing the facility. We did some accreditation things, some expansion, you know, any special events that we were doing, I was in charge of. From there, I went to work for Vinnie Gore, our good friend over at University Housing, and Angela Brown, sweet, sweet lady who we both know and love very much.
Absolutely.
So I went to work for University Housing because the museum, frankly, was a small unit. Housing was, you know, the biggest unit or the second biggest unit at MSU. And so there's a lot more opportunity there. And I can't be more thankful for the opportunity working in housing at that particular time with Vinnie, because as you know, they were going through this remarkable expansion, a series of renovations, and he was really great about getting many people in housing trained in project management and engaged as part of the team in these planning processes. And so I worked on a lot of projects with University Housing. Eventually was the central business office manager. And from that position, and I didn't say 2008 is when I started in housing. I think 2014, I went to work for the Broad Art Museum on campus. So it was my third stop on campus at MSU, and I became the deputy director at the Broad Art Museum. And this afforded me the opportunity really to delve into some areas of operations and business that I wasn't quite as familiar with, such as curating art and exhibition work, as well as human resources. So every time I explore a new opportunity, I look to learn some new skills and add to the quiver.
All right, hold that thought, because we're going to come back. We're going to go to break here, and I'm going to carry this through and reset this, everybody. We're going to talk Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. Very, very, very grateful to have my youngest brother, William, Matt, Billy, with us. And he is the man. That was a slip. And since we're recording, I'm just going to keep it in the thing. And it's like, it's all good, man, because you know what? He's my man. Bill, William, Matt is with us, the executive director. I like to say that. I love it when my siblings have all these big titles and great jobs. It just shows you, it makes you proud. As the oldest, makes me supremely very, very proud of my brother. Okay, we're gonna go to break here. Again, you want information about Oakland University, Meadow Brook Hall? This is your episode. Tom Matt Show. That's how freaking easy that is. I wrote down Bob Patterson too.
Oh yeah.
I see him all the time. He always asks.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, he's great. He was probably the closest mentor of anybody there for me.
Yeah. And we can bring him up if you want. We're not, you know, because I really do want to fill in the blanks for you, but let me do this read. I got to read. The next 3 segments I have reads at the beginning. So
read away, bro.
Let me get on that and make money. All right, here we go. This segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Ameriprise Financial and Craig Stiles. Craig's our man. Full disclosure, as I say every show, financial fitness is his game and our show topic with him. He's our subject matter expert, and he handles all of our retirement zone savings. Thank God. I don't need, you know what? I try to focus on what I do, y'all. You know that. I talk about this all the time. With the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant. I love our life right now. We're doing this thing. We're doing the video. We're doing the radio. We're blessed to have all of this opportunity, get to talk to my brother and, you know, talk about good things and share things, because that's who our guest is today. But Craig is our guy, and he sponsors this segment, and we're so grateful. He's helped us over the years a ton. Here's a couple of numbers coming at you. 1-800-528-1355. Local number is 517-483-4893. Craig.stiles@ampf.com. Okay. The easiest thing for both of our sponsors, Craig, Brock, is at the bottom of our homepage, the banners. click through on the banners. That'll take you right to them. Okay. And then just say you heard it from Tommy. His offices are located, Craig's offices from Ameriprise, located at 2400 Lake Lansing Road, Suite B is in Brilliant or B-ism, Lansing, Michigan 48912. Stations across the state carrying us in syndication and non. We have WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, always the first out of the chute because they were the first to carry us on broadcast radio. Thanks to Will Tiemann and Wendy Hart. You guys are the bomb. And everybody over there at the station, you need anything, you hit us up. We'll do whatever we can to support WGHN and beautiful Grand Haven, Michigan, to the bomb. WJM 1240 AM, Lansing, flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, carrying us multiple times on weekends, because we're a weekend show. WJRW 1340 AM in Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall, same thing. WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City. And, of course, our PBS affiliate at Michigan State University, WKAR FM 102.3 and AM 870 News Talk. Again, thanking Craig Stiles for creating Destary Analytics, his proprietary system where we are making light of weighted decisions. Makes a huge difference in what he does because it's a complicated game out there with your financial fitness. Craig, he's our man. He's got the plan. All right. And I want to say again, thank you to Steve and Ivy Gruber, the brains. Steve, you're such a star. And Ivy, you're such a brain. Way to go, you guys. And thank you for carrying us on your syndication and believing in us. And lastly, I'd like to say, have 4 books on Amazon, that thing called Amazon. Please go check them out. And that's it. That's it for that read, everybody. Let's get back to this program. Talking about Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University. How many of you have heard about Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University? I really didn't know much about Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. Brother Bill, William Matt, is my guest today. He is the executive director. I've been wanting to get Bill on for a long time to promote his facility. It's a huge facility. We're not quite done with Bill's bio yet and his historical perspective and saying hello to the fam. So we're going to continue on with his journey, getting it, because it's really important to understand that Brother Bill is a non-traditional student. He spent like 13 years going to college as an older adult in his 30s and 40s. And to inspire all of you out there to think about these things. Now look at him. He's the executive director of a massive facility, and he's crushing it. So anyways, Bill, continue on with your historical perspective, because I think it's important to build that foundation, being your first time on the show. Thanks again for coming on. Continue, please, if you would, and then carry it right through and talk about your family.
Okay, so thanks, Tom. Pleasure to be here, of course. I think we had left it when I went to work at the Broad Art Museum, and I spent about I think 6 years there. And then in 2021, I got the call from Oakland University to come and manage Meadow Brook Hall as a deputy director at the Broad Art Museum, and this was a chance to become executive director. And it was really a perfect situation for me, and there was a lot of closeness and kind of connections to MSU. Even realized at the time, but it was one of the few jobs I probably could find where I could get a nice promotion and not really disrupt the family. And speaking of family, as I segue and transition, do a little introduction.
Nicely done.
Thank you. We live on the
radio before? Have you done radio? Oh, it must be a genetic thing. Go ahead.
I usually do television, bro.
Can you guys tell? Can you tell if you watch the video? This is hilarious because it's like,
them up, bro. You keep teeing them up.
I'm gonna tee you. If you don't hit these things out of the park every time, I mean, we don't know what we're talking about.
Anyway,
if we can't bring some comedy to this show and a levity and education, then I screwed up, because that's my job. Go ahead, brother.
Entertaining and fun, we're not doing our jobs, right?
Exactly.
We should be having fun at work. If you're not having fun at work, you know what? Find a new job, because life's too short. To really go through life and have that misery, and we've all had jobs like that. We've had bosses we didn't like and jobs we didn't like and things like that. So, reinvent yourself, have the courage, it takes just that first step is the hardest, but once you start down a path, it's pretty easy to reinvent yourself and find great opportunities out there. So I'd encourage people to do that. If you're not happy with your situation, be proactive about it. You don't want
find those mentors, right, Bill? Like you found Bill, or excuse me, Bob Patterson, and we forgot to mention him with Vinnie Gore. And he always asks about you. When I see him at Michigan State, Bob Patterson I'm not exactly sure what his role is over there, but I know it's kind of a big hitter role.
He was the CFO of Auxiliary Services. So he's the
Okay.
top money man, really one of the chief, decision makers when they're looking at expansion or any kind of major expenses and just, strategic planning and things.
So shout out to Bob for saying hello to brother. Every time I see him at the gym, I see him at the gym all the time.
That's great. Yeah, Bob was one of my closest mentors, and I really appreciate every word of wisdom he was able to share in my journey when I was with housing. I was able to take that to the Broad, and as I was saying before, I went to work at the Broad, picked up a few extra skills, but then I came to work at Oakland, and it was a perfect situation for me because my family and I, we have my wife and I, Michelle, and I have 3 sons. Nicholas, who's the oldest, he's 26. Avery Thomas, your namesake, ATM. He is 22. He's the middle child. And Owen, Anthony, Matt, he's our youngest at 18. And so between the family of 5, I didn't want to disrupt the entire family and everybody's lives. And my wife runs a very successful business out of her home. And so, just uprooting that and moving, particularly down to Oakland County, where property is a little more expensive than Ingham County. It wasn't really a great opportunity. So I've been commuting and it's been working out great.
Good for you. Yep. I'm glad to hear it. I mean, I know that's and the commute that you make in Michigan is no different than many commutes that people make all over this country. So it's you do what you got to do. And so you made a good decision here. Let me carry this through here, Bill, because we're going to come up on break here. That was a good way to end it. Thank you for doing that. Resetting everything, everybody. This is episode number 2 of season 13 for us, which I'm very proud to say. And so I'm glad to have Bill Matt with us, my brother, my youngest brother. He is the executive director. I'm very proud to say he's the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. When we come back, and for the rest of this episode, we're going to talk exclusively about a lot of historical perspective behind the ties with Michigan State University, Oakland University, Meadow Brook Hall, the automotive industry. There's fascinating story, and we're going to set this up since this is his first appearance on the radio program, and definitely not going to be his last. So if you want to know more about Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University, stick around because we're going to talk about it. This is the Tom Matt Show. Boom. That's how that's done, bro. Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Rolling.
Rolling. Keep them doggies rolling.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, we're recording. Here we go. That's why I like the video. You know what? People watch this stuff. It's like when we start getting better at cutting this and getting some more staff that can help us cut it, it's going to be really hilarious because there's a lot of funny stuff that happens behind the scenes with this. Let's go.
I'm sure.
Here we go.
And it's all recorded for posterity.
Oh yeah, and video is great because it's like, yeah, we'll talk. We just have to be careful what we say, so we don't have like I've had a couple of times where I have to edit things out, and I don't like doing that because that just adds production time. Here we go. Third segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Sandy Matt. Actually, we're going to have a new sponsor coming on here. I just found out that it's going to be Shaken and Bacon here, and I can't announce it yet, but I'm pretty certain that because of our growth pattern and what we're doing, it's going to be sweet because, to get sponsors for our segment sponsors for us is something that's we're very diligent and we're very careful about bringing people on. We use and utilize the services of our sponsors. And so as far as our integrity goes, it's spot on. When I do, these aren't even reads. These are like brother from another mother over and over and over and over. And that's that. But our mission here at the Tom Matt Show is to build an engaged society and team. Hit us on all the social medias, but the easiest way is just go to our website, tommattshow.com. Please bookmark that. You can find all the little buttons for all of the players, for all the podcast services, whatever your flavor is. Had a student today asking me about it. He says, can you get Apple Podcasts? I'm saying, yeah, man, just go to the website, just click on one of those blue buttons. It's right there. Everything. It's so we have put a tremendous amount of effort into that website. It's been up for 13 years now, 14 years, however long that's been now. And it's always a work in progress, but we're pretty darn proud of it. And we have people liking it a lot because it is solid. We are all about The refinement zone, the refinement zone, the refinement zone, the RFZ is about community collaboration and cooperation, the 3 C's of sharing stories and ideas. If you want to retire and you want to go in that direction, that's totally cool, everybody. Totally great. Good luck. Have fun. Personally, I'm going the other direction. I'm going deeply I'm going to the wall for the refinement zone. And I want everybody that wants to jump on this bus to jump on the bus because, like my guest today, William Matt, executive director of Meadow Brook Hall, has refired several times. And he was just talking about this, about getting over the anxiety of making that career shift. Why get stuck? Why not have fun at work? He's absolutely spot on. All right, Bill, begin the story here. You have a good thought process about where you want to go with your mission to promote Oakland University and Meadow Brook Hall. I'm very interested to hear this story. Let's just start at the beginning. However you want to deliver this, please go right ahead. I'm interested to hear this. I've been waiting for this, so thank you, and go right ahead.
Thanks, Tom. It's again great to be here. So let me just start with kind of just a real brief overview of what Meadow Brook Hall is. Meadow Brook Hall is a historic home. It's a mansion of sorts that's now acts as a cultural center and museum and events center on the campus of Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. It's an 88,000 square feet building with 110 rooms and 39 chimneys. So Tom, for your comparison sake, it's about the same size as Ag Hall and twice the size as the Broad Art Museum. And this was a private residence of the family that lived here. And then later they would go on to donate the building, the property, and millions of dollars to MSU to create an MSU campus in Oakland County. But I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's set the scene back in Detroit around 1910. And you know, Tom, a lot of people's perceptions of Detroit are as kind of as a Rust Belt town on the decline, with people moving out of it, right? And the suburbs growing strong and the core kind of not doing so well. But imagine Detroit from 1910 to 1960 was more populated than Los Angeles. It was wealthier than Houston, and it had more innovation coming out of it than Silicon Valley. For a span of 50 years, it was in the top 5 as far as population in this country. You know, one of the largest cities and the automotive capital of the world, still is today, of course. So in this era of Detroit, there was a tremendous amount of innovation going into the automotive industry. There were pop-ups. There was hundreds of car companies that were started. In fact, our story begins with John and Horace Dodge, the Dodge brothers, because it was their wealth that eventually created this campus for Oakland University. And so John and Horace were talented machinists. They were blue-collar workers working in factory type settings, right? But they were extremely intelligent, very smart, and actually received a patent for a sealed ball bearing in around 1905-ish era because they were part of a company called Dodge Evans Bicycles. And so they patented this sealed ball bearing, which really revolutionized bicycling, because if you can imagine before then, all ball bearings had to be cleaned almost daily because of the dirt and grime and things that were getting in there, and the wheels wouldn't turn, right? So they were just very, very smart, but they were also blue collar, everyday working men, right? But just very ambitious, and they started their own car parts company, Dodge Brothers Automotive Parts, and their first contract was actually with Ransom E. Olds in Lansing. So they provided parts for R.E. Olds in the era, you know, of 1905, 1907, that era. But they only worked for RE for only a year, and then they signed a very lucrative contract with Henry Ford. So they went to work with Henry Ford, and Ford was on his third rendition of his company. The first 2 had failed, and he was starting up the third one. He didn't have enough money to pay the Dodge brothers for the parts, and so he offered them stock options in the company. And that worked out great. Actually, John Dodge became a vice president at Ford Motor Company, working, you know, directly with Henry Ford. And around 1915, when that kind of went to that you know, the Dodge's greatest impact on Ford, 60% of every Ford was actually parts made and supplied by Dodge Brothers Parts. So they were making and supplying over half of the car that was going and being processed and sold as Fords. And so they thought, well, why don't we make our own car, figure out how to make our own car and our own car company and make it better. And that's what they did. And so they cashed out from the Ford stock options to the tune of about $25 million. And that provided their startup for their own automotive company. And they very quickly moved from 1915 to 1920 to become the #2 auto manufacturer in the world behind Ford. And so they rose that rapidly. The reputation for parts, quality, durability, and ingenuity was rivaled by no one else in the world. And so they had a waiting list of, I think, 5,000 dealer applications when they announced that they were going to start the Dodge Brothers Motor Car Company, of dealers and people that wanted their product. So there was no shortage of the people's awareness of the quality materials that they would use and the cars that they built. So they were building a little bit higher end cars than Ford, supplying to a little bit different market. But they were very successful in the automotive business. John and Horace in 1920 attended the auto show in New York. And later that year, they both had, from that show, contracted the 1919 Spanish flu pandemic virus. And they both died in 1920, right as their automotive car company was peaking. And so that left two widows in Michigan, Horace's wife and John's wife, Matilda Dodge, as the heirs to the automotive fortune. And Matilda, at that point, became the wealthiest woman in America.
All right, hold that thought right there, because I love this story so much. This is so great. I knew when Bill said he wanted to do, I was hoping he would want to go this direction, because I don't know any of this. And it's like, I love hearing this historical perspective, as he said in our pre-show call, we were talking about this. And so that's where we're going to go with this, because I think it's significant to understand the historical perspective for everything. I mean, history, things come from historical perspective, and you have to understand that foundations are built, people grow, things happen. And what an interesting story about the brothers Dodge. I'm shocked. I had no idea. And so here we go with two widows who are going to continue this story. Let me reset this. We're going to go to break. Bill Matt, the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall, is with us. My youngest brother. Very, very proud of my brother. Done a wonderful job. Great dad, great husband, just doing it all right, doing everything all the right way. He is the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall at Oakland University. And we're going to talk a lot more about both, but the historical perspective and continuing the story of Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University, coming up next. This is the Tom Mann Show.
A lot of breaks.
Yeah.
You cut my flow, bro.
What's up?
I said, you're cutting my flow.
Sorry, brother. It's radio.
And we're up against a hard break.
Got it.
And we're out.
Yeah, we're out. I tell you, 8 minutes, man. Just get you fucking used to it.
8 minutes. 8 minutes.
I can say that during break on the video.
I need a little time.
I can drop an F-bomb like that. And if I offended anybody that's watching the video, you know me. When it comes to video, if you've watched any of my hashtag dad talks, which if you haven't, you should go check those out, because they're pretty dang hilarious. But yeah, I get a little salty, because it's just part of the whole vernacular. Not on radio, of course, but right now we're not recording radio. We're recording video. So if I drop an F-bomb, oh well, that's just the way Tom is. So sorry, Charlie. No offense. Here we go. I got to do a read for one of the coolest guys ever. Brock Fletcher. Here we go. Segment 4. Here we go. Brock Fletcher at the selling team, Keller Williams Realty. Trustworthy. Guy's awesome. 517-853-6408. Local number. Super secret, not so super secret number, but this is the key number right here. You guys ready? I'm going to say it really slow. 517-303-3262. Just kidding. 517-303-3262 is Brock's cell phone number. Seriously. Again, full disclosure, Brock helped us sell Big House Holt. You've heard the story. He's been on the show. He's our reality real estate expert. He's a subject matter expert, just like Craig. Craig is a financial fit. That's the whole point of our sponsors and our segment sponsors, because they become integrated as part of the show and our content, because I want these subject matter experts, like my guest today, Bill Matt's with us, William Matt, executive director of Meadow Brook Hall, talking about the things that they know about and getting the straight story. You'll get total straight story, and you'll get the care that you need with your real estate with kwsellingteam.com. That is kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles, because Brock is the best. And again, he invests a lot of money into marketing, thousands, where some of the others, no offense to anyone out there, we don't take pot shots. We don't need to take pot shots. I just want to be straight and say that there are a lot of agents out there that don't want to invest the money in the marketing. And you know what happens? You don't get the results that you need. Brock is the kind of guy who he's very forward thinking. He will always answer his calls. He will always answer his text messages, and he will give you straight advice. And with both of our sponsors, Ameriprise and Keller Williams, these are nationwide companies. So if you're in California or you're in Florida and you're hearing this podcast and you want to get a hold of these guys, they can put you in touch with the local people. They will vet those agents, or whatever we call them, the salespeople, for you, put you in touch with good people. That's what I'm trying to say. So just put you in touch with good people, because that's what we do here. We're all about good people. Good people is what keeps us rocking and rolling. And I love talking to good people. That's why Brock Fletcher is our guy. And just tell him, you heard it from Tommy. When you say Tommy, the radio guys know exactly what you're talking about, because it all started with the radio thing, because nobody ever called me that. Not even my brother Bill called me that. I might have called him something else, but it wasn't Tommy, that's for sure. All right, Bill. I'm loving your story, man. You're talking about the Dodgers. I had no idea the historical perspective of this Oakland University story. I'm really glad that you decided to go this direction. So please continue it. I want to give you as much time as you can. We got segment and a half to go for the whole episode. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, I think we might need a couple additional segments to get through all of the material.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about the historical perspective, Bill. As you know, if we don't educate and entertain people with this, then we're missing the boat. But this is a great resource. Oakland University is awesome. Go ahead, continue the story, please. You tell the story.
All right. So I think we left it off where the brothers passed away after the New York Auto Show in 1920, leaving the two widows. Now Matilda Dodge, she had 3 children with John Dodge. John had been married previously, had a previous wife who had passed away, so he was a widower. And Matilda was the stepmother to these other 3 children. And interesting side note, she first met the children on the day that they were married. She had never been introduced to them. After they were married, John took her back to the house on Boston Boulevard in Detroit, dropped her off, and left her at the house with the stepchildren. And she had to figure it out from there. Introduce herself and become the leader of the household, as it were. Anyway, she had 3 children with John. Frances was the firstborn. She was a wonderful world champion equestrian. Daniel was the middle child, and then Anna Margaret was their baby. So after John and Horace passed away in 1921, Anna Margaret passed away from the measles complications. So real tragic story up to this point. Matilda, of course, still grieving John, her true love, and now Anna Margaret. She found a new friend and life partner, Alfred Wilson, at her church, and they were married in 1925. And so she remarried Alfred Wilson. Alfred Wilson at the time was one of the most eligible bachelors in Detroit. Very tall, handsome gentleman, educated at Beloit. His father was a pastor. A wonderful, warm, caring, sensitive gentleman that was just perfect for Danny and Frances growing up, because he was the consummate, ultimate stepfather to step into that role, much like Bill Beachnaw was in our family, frankly.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. We had the best stepfather in the world.
That's right. And so Alfred and Matilda were married, and in 1926, they started to construct Meadow Brook Hall. Now, Meadow Brook Hall, again, is 88,000 square foot. It's an events venue and cultural center, historic house museum. I wanted to add, it's a National Historic Landmark, one of only a handful in Michigan. And so it's on comparable grounds as the Lansing State Capitol building and the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. Also a couple other local National Historic Landmarks.
That's big.
Hall, it has that designation. It was awarded it, I think, around 2012 as the best U.S. example. We're the fourth largest historic house museum in the entire country, and the largest in Michigan. So, when John and Matilda,
Hold you up there just for a second. Catch your breath and get your notes together, because I looked something up while you were talking. I was curious as to see how old Horace was when he passed.
He's fact checking me.
Well, no, I just wanted to see his age, because it's like putting a little perspective to this for people that are out there, because now that we're living so much longer, he died, he was 52 years old. That's very young. I mean, very young.
Right.
Then maybe not so much, but nowadays, put some perspective on that, everybody. Think about that. Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there because Bill's story is so right. Compelling. It's great. So go ahead, Bill.
And I think Matilda was probably about 35. So she was a little, quite a bit younger, maybe 15 years younger than John. And so she's a new mother, new widow, new stepmom. She's got 3 stepkids, 3 kids. He's gone. And Dodge was a world brand, right? And so it was an environment for her and her family, much like the paparazzi of today, where the media is just in your face about the death of your spouse, the death of your husband. And she took her kids and went to France for a year to get away from all of the commotion around his passing, just to get some space for her and her family. And so they went over there and took in culture. And that kind of, I think, informed a lot of her art selections and future decisions around Meadow Brook Hall.
Interesting.
When she returned, her and Alfred, they began to build Meadow Brook Hall. And when John was alive, they had purchased a farm called Meadowbrook Farms in Avon Township, which is actually now Rochester, Michigan. So in northern Oakland County, it's very hilly, very unlike Detroit. It was kind of like at the time going up north, right? So if you left Detroit and you drove north for 2 hours, like we would, and we would end up in Gaylord or something, they would end up in Rochester. So when they went up north, trying to get away from the city and the pollution and the industrialization that was happening and taking over Detroit at the time for weekend getaways and things. So they had what was called a country retreat. It was 320 acres of this Meadowbrook farm. And this is where actually John and Horace first started to design and test the Dodge Brothers motor car that they developed and in the future would sell. But it's on the tail end geographically of the Irish Hills that start around Jackson, and it runs up southeast Michigan and kind of tails off in Oakland County. And so if you're driving from Ingham County to Shiawassee County to Genesee County and to Oakland County, you see a very flat Michigan that suddenly becomes very hilly and green, and there's lots of lakes and rivers and streams, and that's Oakland County. It's the tail end of the Irish Hills, which start in Jackson. So there's an interesting geographic phenomenon that's happening here. But anyway, they got the farm. It's 300 acres. And they would spend their weekends here. They were improving the farm. John built a 9-hole golf course for himself on the property because he was tired of competing on public courses for time and space. And so he built a 9-hole golf course along with a clubhouse. He built a greenhouse for his wife, who loved planting flowers. He built an orchard, improved lots of things on the farm before he passed away. And this is the location where Matilda eventually built Meadowbrook Hall with Alfred.
All right, we're going to jump off there. We're getting to close to the beginning of Oakland University here. You can feel it coming. For those listeners that don't get the 5th segment of the radio program, I apologize. There's some stations that don't carry it. You can always get the podcast because Bill's going to roll into this. And believe me, Bill Matt, Executive Director of Meadowbrook Hall, will be back again. We will be talking more about Meadowbrook Hall so you can get more details. But if you missed the 5th segment, go to the podcast, TomMattShow.com, and pick it up. Resetting this whole thing. This show is called Meadowbrook Hall, Oakland University. This is episode 2 of season 13, baby. And I'm so happy to have my brother from our mother here, the real deal. William Paul Matt is in the house talking about Oakland University. I love talking about higher ed. So great. Helped our family so much. This is the Tom Matt Show.
We're down to the last segment.
Yep.
All right. I got to find a way to wrap it up in 8 minutes.
And this is the plug thing here, where we can hold on.
Okay. It's good. We can do history part
really quickly into this. There's no read. It's your read. I used to do a read for me here, but I'm not going to. I want you to go ahead. Can you hear the music when we come in?
No.
Okay. So I have music that I hear for about 10 seconds that I'm playing off of. That's the bumper music that you'll hear on radio and on the podcast. So that's kind of why I got to carry it through for about 10 seconds. But here we go.
I will jump into the nuts and bolts first then.
Whatever you want to do. This is all yours, man. I'm going to give you that. I would like when I get to, if I give you the 2 signal, it means we got like 2 minutes, and get ready to do your takeaway. Okay. Just do the takeaway, however you want to do it. Make sure you mention the website when I throw this to you, and Meadow Brook Hall's website. You got all that handy?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to go right there right now. Here we go. Welcome back to the Tom Nett Show. Thrilled to have Brother Bill, William Paul Matt, my guest today. He's the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall, Oakland University. Learning all about all kinds of stuff. I mean, we're talking geography, we're talking triangulation, we're talking GPS, we're talking sealed bearings. I mean, this show's covered more ground than Pat did. I swear to God. Here we go. All right. Before we go much farther, though, let's get the details. How do you contact Bill? You want to get back to him? You want to find out more about all of his stuff? Go ahead, bro.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to have the most exclusive wedding venue in the entire state of Michigan, you need to come see Meadow Brook Hall. We do weddings in the summer in our historic atmosphere, the aesthetic, the gardens. It's a beautiful location, fully catered, 5-star dining experiences, top-notch, elegant, exclusive wedding venue. Okay, that's our business model. That's where we make our bread and butter. So we got to get that out there first. Visit meadowbrookhall.org. That's Meadow Brook Hall, all one word, .org, for booking details, corporate events, social events, but especially your weddings. And they're booking fast. We do about 80 weddings a year, Tom.
How far out do you have to book those, Bill?
Well, if you want a primetime Saturday, we're sold out in 2024.
Okay, so there you go, everybody. That gives you a little bit of perspective.
Saturday, look at 2025. If you can work with a Friday or Sunday, which we have a lot of clients that do, you can still find some dates in 2024.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead. Continue on, please.
So beyond our rental business, we also do tours. We do some thematic tours. We do special events. We do concerts in the summer, but we do guided tours Monday, Sunday, Saturday, and Fridays. And you can get a guided or self-guided tour. Again, meadowbrookhall.org to book your tickets. Now, starting the day after Thanksgiving, we are launching our Holiday Walk program along with Winter Wonderlights. Winter Wonderlights is a new show. It's a production that we launched 2 years ago. So this is our 3rd year of production. It's a new event. We brought in around 35,000 visitors each of the first 2 years. And this year tickets are going fast. So, surpassing the first year's excitement and energy and levels.
What do those cost, Bill?
The tickets, I think, are $20.50 or somewhere in that neighborhood. And there's some range. There's a veterans discount. There's an employee kind of staff discounts. There's youth discounts. There's a family.
Obviously a good value if you're selling them out.
Yeah, there's a family pass on Sundays where I think children under 12 are like half price or even free or something like that. So great deals to be found on there. But just a wonderful time to come and experience Meadow Brook Hall at its most inspirational. So all of the grounds are lit up with music and lights that are activated. There's about 6 different show elements that you would tour, along with seeing the inside of the house. Inside the house, over 50 trees decorated throughout the hall. Every room's got a unique theme. So lots of enjoyment, opportunity for you to spend time with your family. We have maybe 15,000 people come to the Holiday Walk show over that 5-week period between Thanksgiving and New Year's, and about 25,000 that go to the light show. So It's our busiest time of the year. And then in January, we take a little bit of time, a little bit of rest, and then we start some unique touring programs again in February.
Awesome, man. See, great information. Now, we're not going to burn up a lot of time by Tom yakking. I don't know where you want to go with this thing, Bill, because you got about 6 minutes of free time to go play with, but take it however you want to do it. Your story, the historical perspective of the Dodges and all of that is so fascinating. However you want to kind of encapsulate this, please go right ahead.
All right. So, really the story we feel is like really strongly centered on Matilda Dodge Wilson, right? She was the brainchild for Meadow Brook Hall, and for all of their giving, their philanthropy that her and Alfred endowed across the rest of the state. They supported a lot of different organizations. And one of those was Michigan State University. So Matilda became very close with John Hanna before he was president of MSU. He was a poultry professor in agriculture, and she had a poultry farm. And in fact, she had beef, and she had dairy, and she had cattle, and she had horses, and she had hens. And there's a poultry group, and there was a pork group, and everything you can imagine here on this farm. The farm grew from 300 acres originally that John Dodge had bought with Matilda to 1,500 acres. And so it was a working farm for about 30 years. And she was very close with John Hanna in order to learn how to best produce things at your farm, right? It was a world-class farm working with world-class research from Michigan State University. As she was nearing the end of her life, she talked with John Hanna, and she made a gift of $2 million, the entire 1,500 acres and Meadow Brook Hall, to MSU to create MSU Oakland, a MSU campus in Oakland County, a satellite campus in Oakland County, for the students and the young people here to continue their education. So Matilda actually had some education in a business college in downtown Detroit, which led her to be able to get a job at Dodge Brothers Car Company, which led her to, advance and then eventually meet John Dodge, etc. And so she had a tremendous amount of respect for education. And in fact, after she made the gift, she lived on the campus with the students for 8 years until she passed away. So she was very much part of the students' lives, those first few classes that were here at Oakland University. So very, very interesting lady, but ultimately her wealth generated this public institution now that has graduated hundreds of thousands of students, since 1963, when it was I think the first charter class graduated in 63.
Good story. I love it. So we're kind of connected with MSU, which I kind of knew, but now that people know this, that's very, very
I mentioned to you yesterday. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting how this whole thing is all stitched together with John Hanna. And so this is how, again, Bill, as you said, if you go get the brainy people, the smart people to help you build something, typically it might have a good chance of becoming successful.
Absolutely. And, not many people may know, but Wilson Hall on the campus of MSU is named for Alfred and Matilda Wilson, along with Wilson Road. And so they're recognized at MSU's campus today for their gifts of 50 years ago. This is a pretty impressive track record. So it's a remarkable history. We love expanding on our tour information. We're right now going through and we're designing a new visitor center we're going to be opening in the spring, and that's going to provide some upgraded amenities to all of our visitors. So when you arrive, you'll have your retail and your restrooms and all of your amenities, your ticket check-in and all that space right by the parking lot as you get here. So we're trying to make it more more convenient and get our visitors more acclimated to the tour and give them a little bit of this backstory, which we find so fascinating. We hope they do too, because once you get to the house, it's so fabulous. You're not really looking at the history at that point. You're just looking at the details. And so taking the house in and of itself is a really different experience. And we want to be able to share this history of these great people, the Dodge brothers, Matilda and Alfred, and the story of Oakland University, its origin story, really, and the connection to MSU, which we think is important. And it's impacted so many lives going forward. You talked about the refirement versus retirement earlier, and I wanted to give a shout out to one of our employees is retiring in a couple of weeks after 43 years working here at Meadow Brook Hall.
Wow.
43 years. If you can imagine being in one job or one, employer for that long. It's just incredible. And we had a volunteer who just surpassed 50 years of volunteering last year. So the people that we have here, they live it. And now I live it too.
You're a good person to be in charge of this, Bill. I need a takeaway. I got a minute to go. Please give me a takeaway. It's been a great episode. I appreciate all the historical perspective. Please give me a 45-second takeaway.
If you want to have the most beautiful exclusive event ever in the state of Michigan, you need to come see Meadow Brook Hall. I think it sells itself. If you want to get immersed in the history of equestrian horses and farms and the automotive history, particularly around the Dodge Brothers Automotive Car Company, come visit Meadow Brook Hall. We're here to provide tours, education, opportunities, and rental space for the community. Located in Rochester, Michigan. It's actually not far from the Palace. If people know where that is, coming down I-75, it's only about a half hour south of Flint. So it's pretty easy to get here. And it's a hidden gem, brother. I can't tell you enough. I had never been here before I came to start working here. And it's gorgeous. It's like stepping back in time.
Awesome. Great. Bill Matt is the executive director of Meadow Brook Hall. With more than a 20-year career in higher education, Brother Bill has provided visionary leadership in a variety of professional community roles all over the place. I mean, the guy's got such a great background. He's served on the Lansing City Council. He's done many, 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 many things. He was county commissioners. He's just done a ton of things, plus being a non-traditional for all those years and raising his family. Done a great job. Very, very proud to have him as a guest. We'll have him back because this is a gem that you need to know about. And if it's on the par of the state capitol and, the Grand Hotel, enough said. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you. That's why we do these types of episodes. Love the story. Send us a note. TomMattShow.com. Go to the contact box. It's really easy. Sponsorships are available, but they're going fast. You can drop us a note in the contact box. If you're semi-interested in this thing, we'll start the vetting process because it takes a while to do that. Podcasts are available at our website. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Close the show, every show, with that. Thanks again to William, Paul, Matt, Executive Director of Meadow Brook Hall, Sandy, Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher, Samantha Medved, Alyssa Guadani, everybody that helps support this show. And of course, the legend, Mitch Anderson. Tom Matt Show's production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you very much. We're out. That is a say.
So we talked for an hour, less the commercials. That gets you your 52 minutes or whatever?
Yeah. Yep. Gives us our whole 52 minutes. Because, see, we give 40-minute packages to Michigan Talk Network and some of the independents. But then Mitch started sending the whole package to over to Grand Haven, WJHN, and they get the 52. And because of WKR, we needed to add that 12-minute segment. So that happened about 5 years ago when we finally got on WKR. And that was a challenging thing to get on PBS, but you know what? I'm really glad we are. And they have us in a really good slot. I mean, we're on 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoons, and it's fantastic. And it's, you can pick up the stream now. So even when the sun goes down, you can still pick up the stream because everything's streamed. And it's all good. So yeah.
One of your podcasts on your Dating My Daughter podcast. I think that's the most popular one. It's the first one that popped up. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Was that a podcast or was that
it was your dad talk or whatever.
Oh yeah. That's
six suggestions on dating my daughter.
That's a video. Oh yeah, that's a video that I cut. Yeah, those. See, I've done so much of this. It's all over the place, and so today I did one on masculinity, the top 10 of masculinity. I've got 2 days worth of my top 10. I found this list and I just expanded on it myself and put my own kind of stamp of approval on it. Dedicated it to my son-in-law, Matt Schutte. He was pretty happy about that. So, because he deserves it.
Yeah, because he takes the masculinity. He's a guy's guy, but he's also sensitive, and
Yep.
in tune with his kids and his wife. Right?
Totally.
That's the ideal man, where you can, participate in all aspects of your life.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where, as growing older adults and males especially, we need to guide our young men to help them understand the value of what they have being a man, because there's been a lot lost through social media. I continue to talk to students all the time about this and read the books and do the research. And it's a technological disconnect that's causing a big problem. But again, through adversity grows opportunities, I like to say, everybody. And so through these kinds of issues, that's why I'm doing the hashtag dad talks. And that's why the hashtag dad talks are going to go, because coming from my perspective at 64 years old at this point, in my life, it's like, hey, I'm just here to let it fucking roll, baby, and give it to you straight. And
Do you
that's
find,
that.
you talk to your kids differently than your parents talk to you?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure. I mean,
yeah.
our parents, for one thing, no offense to mom and dad, but they were dysfunctional. There was a dysfunctional relationship, like many people that were married in the 50s was. They were very, very young. They had a big tribe, young, and so it was very, very hard. And so I give them a lot of credit. And I always say they created 5 of the most outstanding human beings ever. So they did something fucking right. Pardon my language. Not really. I
No
mean,
pun intended.
they did. No, hey, I'm not kidding. Exactly. Now you're caught crossing the line. Okay. But
What?
what? So yeah, see what I talk about behind the scenes stuff, you guys? You got to check out this video stuff, but I'm gonna tell you right now, Bill, that whole 5th segment that you did was
Yeah.
gold. I will cut that out. I'll cut that video out. That will be the excerpt for the show. I always do an excerpt chunk so that people can go get like a quick piece of it. And if they like it, then they can go listen to the whole thing or watch the whole thing or whatever they want to do. But that whole thing it was well done. It was well thought out, and you nailed it. I mean, so that whole 5th segment was
Thank you.
Oakland University, Meadow Brook Hall gold. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
thank
now
you. Nice.
when you guys and your staff listen to this and they watch this closing, and then now I'm talking to the staff and the people, be thinking creatively, you guys. This is a great tool. We own the copyright, so we do what we want here. And so, the thought is maybe Oakland, maybe Meadowbrook Hall wants to be a sponsor for us and we work something. I don't know, but that's not the point at this right now. It's to promote you guys, and that's it. And so sometimes working with institutions of higher education like Michigan State or an Oakland University can be a little cumbersome for a small business like us. And so it really does depend, but it doesn't matter. The point being is we're going to promote this and we're going to make this a regular deal. And I want Bill, because Bill, you're really good and you're shit. And it's like, I want people on the show that know their shit and share good information. I mean, it's entertaining.
It's story. I mean, it's so many layers like an onion. You just keep peeling them back. And I tell you what, I am discovering things every week here. It's like a living archaeological site because
I'll bet.
I'm finding an atlas from 1776 and it's got a map in it from before the 1500s. It's like, this stuff is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about these institutions. And when some of the things that I found at Michigan State when I was working through all of the catacombs and tunnels and basements and all of those old ass buildings on that campus, I found stuff in your old building at the museum. I found specimen jars from the 20s that was like, I found books from 1900, all kinds of tons of stuff.
Right.
And it's just because these places have been around for 150, 160 years. And so, like Michigan State has, but it's amazing. And so it's a blessing to be associated with these institutions, in my opinion. And so, hey man, you did a good job. I'm going to cut you loose because I got to do a little production work, quite a bit of production work actually. And then
send me the links.
I'll let you know how it all shakes down. About 3-4 weeks, it'll be up and we will get you all of that. Be thinking about, once you listen back to it, about the next episode, probably 3-4 months. Because we run a month ahead, but we always want to make these things evergreen. But once you hear your thing and you start to say and think and get with the staff and say, okay, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. I'm going to be doing a lot more promotion work with the Michigan State too. And and we got some big hitters who are on board with, giving me the right people. Like
I tell you something else too, not to be crass about it, but Oakland County is so wealthy,
Yeah.
looking for donors down here for supporting arts and things like that. It's much more rich environment than Ingham County,
Oh,
and
sure.
you would
I'm
hear
sure.
in Lansing all the time about how it's not really a great, philanthropic kind of community. There's a lot of legislators that kind of come and go, but they don't live there. And so, the power brokers, aren't spending their money in Lansing like they do in Grand Rapids and Detroit. But I tell you what, Oakland County, there's a lot of money, and 75% of it probably derived from the automotive industry.
Yep. Which is awesome. I mean, and it's the pockets of it, and we appreciate all the donors, and we appreciate all the people that follow everything. And so, yeah, it's all good. And to be perfectly honest, no slam. The RFZ, as I've said before, when I interview businesses here in Lansing, the RFZ was born in Lansing, Michigan. There's a lot of money going into Lansing, Michigan. Lansing is a diamond in a rough. It's about 10 years behind the GR. It won't be the hotbed of a Oakland County, but that's okay because it's affordable. And
right. That's why I choose to live there.
What's that?
That's why I choose to live there.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great area. Mid Michigan's fantastic. And so it's grown like mad. And so if you want to get in, if you're a young person or go to some good schools, Oakland, Michigan State, all good. Just stay away from Ann Arbor. Okay, gotta go.
See you later, buddy.
All right, brother.
Have a good one.
Later.
Later.
Excellent interview, Brother Bill. Loved it. Oakland University, been looking forward to getting to know more about it. Had no idea about the Dodge brothers and all of that. And yeah, historically, if we can connect the dots and follow the historical perspective of all this, it's fantastic. It's great. And so it gives context and color and texture to everything. And so I'm looking forward to, I have never been to Meadow Brook, and I'm looking forward to going there because I like going to old buildings like this. That's why I love Michigan State so much and North Campus. So, hey guys, enjoyed it. Hope you did. Follow them, check out Meadow Brook Hall, have all the links and everything in the recap, of course, as usual. So check it out. And until next time, peace out, y'all. Love you. Thank you for watching.